Welcome to Grace River Church Online at Home. My name is Jen. We're so glad that you've chosen to join us today. We'd love to hear where you're watching from. Drop a line in the comments and tell us where you're watching from today. If this is your first time, if you would text the word FIRST to the number on the screen, and we'd love to send you a Starbucks gift card as a thank you for stopping by. If you'd like to stay up to date with what is going on at Grace River, I want to encourage you to click the link in the chat or visit the website on the screen. My hope for you today is that you are encouraged by the singing and the message given today. Let's get to it.
Love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, for my soul. To bear the dreadful curse for my soul. Oh yeah, yeah. Sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath God's righteous wrong, Christ laid aside his crown for my soul, for my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. The great I am. While millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. Oh how high, oh how wide, oh how deep is your love. You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us. Oh how high, oh how wide, how deep is your love? You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing in joyful peace. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing on. Oh how high, oh how wide, oh how deep is your love. You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us. Oh how high, oh how wide, oh how deep is your love. You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us. Oh how high, oh how wide, oh how deep is your love. You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us. Oh how high, oh how wide, oh how deep is your love. You're my soul set on fire by your wondrous love for us.
What's up? My name is Jordan. Welcome to Church Online. We are so glad that you're here. I'm a worship and spiritual growth pastor here at Grace River, and we just want to say thank you for joining us at Church Online. There's been so many things that we've talked about the past few weeks with Colossians series and His Heart, My Heart series, which we are so glad that you were able to catch that. We are today talking about small groups. It's one of my favorite things that we get to talk about because I happen to look over. I happen to help people, equip people to be in a small group, join a small group, jump out of a small group, whatever you want to call it, right? We're just really excited to dive in today. I promise to try to be short and sweet and get you onto your day. Thank you again, though, for jumping on with us. Give us some likes, dislikes, some hearts, emojis, some whatever you got in your repertoire of sending out, just letting us know that you're there and you're hanging out. Also, thanks for jumping on in your PJs. That's always a great thing. Like you get to sit at home and watch this and hang out, and that's awesome. You feel comfortable being under a blanket and hanging out. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this. We love small groups in our church, and we love them so much that we believe we are a church of small groups, not a church with small groups. And what I mean by that is a lot of churches will maybe use small groups as just a way of having another program. They'll have just something that helps people connect in a different way. We believe that we are a church of small groups because that is where we know next steps and spiritual steps actually get taken. Like, we want to push people to do that because it helps them take the next step relationship with God and also with others. And so you might be asking yourself, what is a small group? You may have seen us even talk about it. Chris has talked about it. Guest speakers talk about it. What is a small group? And I'm happy to share with you today just some of the information so you can know what it is and why we do it, not just the what. But what it is simply 8 to 12 people that meet together within a group in a home of someone that has been inside of our church. And they meet on a weekday night. They meet from anywhere from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday or Thursday. And they also last up only about an hour and a half each night. And so what you would do if you sign up for a group is you'd only be a part of one group on, say, a Tuesday night. And you'd be there from like 6:30, 6 o'clock to about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And they meet for about 12 to 13 weeks at a time. So when you're committing, it's not like you're committing to the world or you're getting married to the group forever. It's like you're just getting involved for about 12 to 13 weeks at a time. And we do signups twice a year. And this happens to be the day. Like, today is the day to sign up for small groups. And we want to say, we want you to join. Like, we love for you to join us along the way. Basic night of groups, like what it is that you actually do is, again, getting together with 8, 12 people. About the first 15 minutes or so, you're just kind of hanging out, eating some snacks, and catching up on each other's weeks, asking each other some questions of just like, hey, how are things going? How's your life going? Anything that can help you with, anything that you're enjoying in your life. And then you go into another part of about 45 to 50 minutes-ish of just talking about the past Sunday sermon. So the cool thing about that is it's not really an accumulative thing. Like, you don't have to know a bunch of things in order to stay in a small group or be in a small group. Like, we've had people join the last 8 to 10 weeks inside of a small group and still be just as plugged in when they joined as if the first person joined the number in the first week. So what we talk about is the past Sunday sermon. So take, for instance, if Chris was talking about love in his sermon the past Sunday, we would basically be talking on that Tuesday night. We would say, hey, what does it look like to love? What does the Bible talk about with love? What were some of Chris's points that he had that wanted to talk about love? Because we're trying to grow in our relationships with God and our relationship with others. And so this allows us to have good conversation about it. And we want to let you know, I'm a big extrovert. I know there are people who are introverts. And so when you think about going to a group, you might think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to talk. I'm going to have to pray out loud. I'm going to talk out loud. We want you to know there is no judgment and there is none of that going on. No one's tapping you going, hey, you should talk. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I know I've been guilty of that happening in our group, but I want to encourage you that we will try our best not to make you feel uncomfortable when you attend a group. And so after that, it's pretty much just wrapping up with prayer. We ask, some different prayer requests. We ask, hey, what are some things that are going on in your life that you would like for us to pray for you about? What are some things and challenges and difficulties that you might have that we would love to care for you for, right, and pray for you for? And so those are the reasons what a small group is, right? Now you might ask yourself, why do we do small groups? Basic reason is it because it's in the Bible. What we're going to spend time in today is we're going to spend the time in Acts chapter 2, and what happens in Acts chapter 2 is incredible. It's when Jesus was no longer with his disciples, and the Holy Spirit just basically makes himself known and comes in and just basically allows them to see God for who he is. And that's such a beautiful thing. And what happens is the Holy Spirit and God simply just teaches them, this is what we want you to do. We want you to start a small group. We want you to be meeting together daily. We want you to talk about and worship God daily and hang out. And so that's why we do small groups. There's some things that we do that have been from ground up, like the Lord's Supper, right? There's a reason that we do those things. It's not just because they're traditional. It's because the early church in the book of Acts or in the Bible, they did those things. And so we want to encourage you to do that. We want to encourage you to jump in with us on that. So check this out. In Acts chapter 2, this is where we're going to be. I want to read this to you. It says this, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all, as any had need. Day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. I love that it talks about this, that they're breaking bread in their homes, that they received it with good hearts, and that God added to their number daily. I think there are 3 things I want to drop in about why you should join a small group. 3 reasons why I think you should and why I would join a small group. And these are things that I've wrestled with in the past, but I think that these are things that are going to push us to draw near to God's heart and why we want to join a small group in the first place. And so this first reason is simply you'll know God past the surface level. Kind of sounds super simple, right? But I think what happens in our minds and our hearts is we try to think that putting an hour in on a church online or putting an hour in on Sunday morning is actually going to help fulfill us, like it's going to help our relationship with God and with people. But we wouldn't do that with any other aspect in our life, right? Like you wouldn't go to the gym for only an hour a week and expect to have incredible results, right? You wouldn't want to strive to be smarter and read a book for only 1 hour a week, right? You wouldn't do that because that just doesn't make sense. If you want to be smarter, you're going to read a little more books, right? And when it comes to the most important thing in our walks with God, we only give it 1 hour a week. And I'm telling you, God is so much bigger and better than your Sunday. He's way bigger and better than your Sunday 1 hour tune-in. And I don't want that to sound guilty. We love that you're here. Like we love that you're on Church Online. We love that you'd be in person with us. But the big thing is, if I want to know God past the surface level, I've got to start committing and prioritizing this thing toward it, because he's way bigger and better than our Sunday. I love how this verse says, towards the Acts 2:47, says, the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. They were getting together every day, like quite often. And they were hanging out. Again, it says they were breaking bread, and we'll get to more of that later, but they were doing things that allowed them to set themselves up for connecting with others and connecting with God. And they did it every day. It's so important to have both. I think that's the big thing is some people will say, yeah, I love God. I love who he is, and I love all that he brings to my life. He's full of grace and mercy and love. But I just don't think I should be a part of a church and be a part of community. I don't really need that. I've heard that people literally say that. And I just want to compel you to think that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not what we're intended for. I think COVID really helped break a lot of that out and help us understand how much we really need people. But both are so important. Relationship with God and relationship with others are so important. The second thing is this. You'll know people past the surface level. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Like, you'll actually know someone past the screen that you're looking through. Like, you'll actually get to do life with them and know them. And I love, again, it says this, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and their prayers. They broke bread together. I don't know about you, but I love some food. I love a good dish of food. I don't care if it's spaghetti, if it's chicken, if it's steak, whatever the case is. I love eating food, but what you can imagine in here is that they're having food not just with like random people, they're having food with like their best friends. They had all things in common. And that's the coolest thing about it, is that they get to do life together. And that's what a small group does. It helps you know somebody past the surface level of like, hey, I know that you work somewhere. I know your name. I know some things about you. But like, man, what are you really struggling with? What are some areas that you need help in? How can I celebrate some things that are going on great in your life, right? So it allows us to do that. I think those are really great things. I love this. This next quote is one of my favorites. Let your Sunday friends be your Monday friends. Love that, because we're not called to just a 1 hour a week. You're called to make this a further thing. And what this does is joining a small group gets you your 1 hour a week here at church. It also puts you an hour and a half in through the week with your friends and people that you know are going to push you closer to God inside of a small group. And then also what happens out of that is real relationship starts to happen. So you start having like coffee with each other. You'll have dinner with each other. You'll go to concerts together. You'll go to movies together. You'll start doing life together. Your kids will be in the same soccer leagues or baseball leagues or whatever, you name it, right? That's the whole point of this, is that you'll know people past the surface level. You'll know God past the surface level, and you'll experience growth through that. The cool thing about knowing people past the surface level is it allows you to get better, to be better, for others to know you better, bringing about genuine growth, bringing about genuine relationships in there. And so I want to encourage you, that's one of the main reasons why, both knowing God past the surface level, and also knowing people past the surface level. The third thing is this: we get to experience life change right in front of you. I think this is something that we all kind of miss, is when COVID happened, we saw just lots of things happen, right? But we didn't get to experience much life change because there was so much emptiness going on. And so I love it. This verse says this: they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. And I think it's so important for us to see, like, this is why they were doing this, is to experience life change, to experience a real relationship with God and a real relationship with others. We weren't meant to do life alone. And COVID, man, I don't know if you remember, but put yourself back there for a moment and think about what it was like when COVID went down. There was news flashes that went around of, I think you should wear a mask. I think you should start sanitizing your hands. And then, you have normal living without mask, and you're like, I don't know, this is a bunch of junk. I'm probably not, this isn't going to actually be here. And then what happened? The NBA shut down, the MLB shut down, and we're like, what in the world? And then Tom Hanks got sick. You're like, what do I do there? I mean, Tom Hanks is sick. What am I supposed to do? Right? And what did we do? We were, you guys remember the 2-week shutdown where you had 2 whole weeks of just like, I'm not going to go out of my house. What on earth am I going to do? What did it do? Help us recognize just how much we need people. It just put the stamp on, man, we need people, right? And so we make these compelling arguments on why to join a small group, because we want something from you, or want something for you, not something from you. We weren't meant to do life alone, right? But the big thing is we want something for you, not something from you. We're not just trying to fill a quota and trying to get groups to make them bigger or make our church bigger. We want something for you. And it's so funny. The other day I was reading this book. You might wonder why Green Eggs and Ham is on my table here. Famous classic book. But it's just kind of funny to think about. I was reading this book to my 2 younger kids, Declan and Hazel. And I was like, man, this is a great description of what it's like to really want something for somebody, not really want something from you. And so this whole book is so silly, because you got Sam I Am, who's blowing this guy up. He's just like, dude, you need to have eggs and green eggs and ham, right? You need to have them in a house. You need to have them in a box with a fox, all these different things, right? And what was funny about this page is my son, he goes, after he hears all these excuses of why he should have it, he looks at this guy and he's like, I think he hates him. I think he's literally saying, like, my son says this out loud, I think he hates Sam. And I'm like, whoa, buddy, I don't think he hates him. He's just like, I don't like it. And then he's like, I think he even told him, shut up. And I'm like, buddy, how do you even know how to say that, first of all? But like, let's not say that. And it's okay. Like, he's relaxed. What the coolest part about this is Sam makes so many compelling arguments of why he wants this for him, right? And what happens is hilarious. He says, Sam, look at his face. If you will let me be, I will try them. You will see. Like, okay, let's try them. And what happens? Oh, all the build up. He says, say, I like green eggs and ham. I do like them. Like, I love them, and I didn't think I could. Like, I didn't know if I really could like them. And the coolest part about this is we want something for you. If we wanted something from you, it'd be a totally another conversation. We understand that, like, where we're headed is just to connect you to a small group so that you can see this is the best thing for you. Just like green eggs and ham are great for this guy, right? What's best is we know that small groups are such a genuine cure for some loneliness, for some heartache that's going on in your life. We know that you can't do life alone, right? So we want to encourage you to join in one because it grows your relationship with God and it grows your relationship with others, ultimately growing a relationship all the way around. I want to encourage you one thing. I love saying this to people when it comes to signing up for a small group. And Casey, my friend Casey's going to come up in a little bit, but pushing the reset button. Like, a lot of us have had past experiences with maybe past churches or past small groups. And if you haven't, jump into one anyway. But if you have, whether it was a great experience or it wasn't a great experience at all and you were hurt, we want to encourage you, just push the reset button on your past. Because we're not that church that you came from. We're not running around with the people that you were with before. Not to say we're perfect by any means. We screw up in a lot of ways. But the cool thing is that we can see genuine growth when we push the reset button and allow God to work in a way that we possibly couldn't see fit. And so if you have any bit of apprehensions or you're nervous about joining a small group, I brought my friend Casey here. Casey, come on up, because I want to talk through just a little bit of what it's like to join a small group, because sometimes we're just scared to step out. Like, again, I'm an extrovert, so I love just going all in on relationships. I love just like getting a room pumped and hyped, right? And so that's not the case for everybody. And I want to ask her a couple questions that may relate to you, because there were apprehensions, right? There were nervous feelings that you had. And so I'm going to ask a couple questions. I just want to hear, I want you guys to see really what happens as a result of stepping out in faith and doing that. And so what made you want to join a small group in the first place? And what were some of the feelings you had before you signed up?
Well, I didn't want to join a small group at all, actually. I started coming to Grace River in September because of Hannah and Jacob Matthews. They were really my only church friends. And Hannah asked me so many times, week after week, to come to small group. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of just like, this is not for me. I don't want to sit in a room of strangers that I don't know, right, at somebody's house that I also don't know.
It's weird.
It's super weird. And I was not super well versed in the Bible, so I felt like I was going to be kind of an outcast, and people were going to be like, who the heck is this girl? Right. She doesn't know anything. Yeah. But then on the other side, Hannah was my only church friend, and I didn't want her to be like, this girl's not taking it seriously. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's going to be great. I'll go, you know. But on the inside, I was definitely freaking out. Yeah. But then I went, and it ended up being totally fine. You know, I was scared because I didn't want to have to talk in front of people. Mm-hmm. I was scared that somebody was going to ask me to quote scripture, and I was going to have no idea what it was. Right. I was going to have not a clue what to say. And that's terrifying. And I am an extrovert, but it's very hard when people put you in situations that you're like, I don't know this material. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I am really glad that I ended up doing it.
Yeah, and that's like some of the feelings that you might be having when I say join a small group is just like, dude, I don't want to do that. That's really weird. It's odd. I'm going over to someone's house to spend time talking about the Bible that I don't know anything about. But the whole point of this whole thing is that we would cultivate relationships, grow in our relationship with God and others. And so, man, how do you feel like as a result of what do you feel like God did as a result of you signing up?
Yeah, I mean, I met so many people in our small group. You know, I was in your small group twice, which was great. But not only did I meet people and make new friendships, like I don't just know them as they're in my small group, like I'm actually friends with them. It led me to volunteering on the tech team. It led me just to feel like I'm more part of the church than just, like you said, just coming on Sundays. Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of us feel like that. Like, oh, I checked the box on Sunday, you know? Yeah, and exactly. I feel like it's easy to fall into that. But ultimately, being in a small group was a huge catalyst of me giving my life to God, which at the end of the day is the whole point. Exactly. So, you know, it wasn't the only reason, but it was the start.
It was
for sure.
A huge catalyst. I love that you said that because, again, like we can be inspired in a row, right? But life change happens in a circle. And that's the part where like we love to act like looking at a lens 1 hour a week or being here only 1 hour a week is going to make that difference. But
Yeah.
Small groups is a big part of that.
It was a
And so-
huge part of it. And also, one more thing, you know, on my side, I didn't want to do it because it was weird and I didn't know anybody. But there were people that I feel like should also join small groups, even if, like you said, you've done it at other churches,
Right.
or, you know, you're like, I got this thing on lock. Like, I don't know what I'm going to bring to a small group. Like, I have all my spiritual things in order. But there were people in our small group, you know, like you and, you know, the Revees in our last small group and Lisa and Renee in our previous small group that are a lot farther along in their spiritual journey than me, that mentored me without even knowing it. So it's kind of like, even if you feel like I don't have anything to bring to this, like I'm good. Like me and God, we're besties. We're good. I still think you can do good and not even know it.
Right.
And that's, you know, the whole point of our church, you know, bringing people to meet, know, and follow Jesus.
I love it. Thank you so much. Can you give it up for Casey? Like, I don't know, you can't clap, but like give some likes and throw some emojis in there. Just give it up for her. I mean, it's just been incredible to watch her journey, spiritual journey happen. But I'm telling you, small groups aren't just like kind of fun. Like they're not, and honestly, sometimes they can be weird. Like they can legit feel weird. But the good thing is it allows you to take the next step closer to God and closer to others. So thank you so much for joining us. You're thinking awesome.
Problem. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
I want to walk into 2 more next steps. And before we get out of here, one of them is simply to sign up online. I think that just joining a small group is a big deal. And if we really want it to be a big deal, we'll find a way to do that. Our groups meet on, like I said, Monday through Thursday. 2 of them meet on Monday, 2 of them meet on Tuesday, 4 of them meet on Wednesday, and 2 of them meet on Thursday. We want to encourage you. Like, see if there's a way that you can sign up online by checking out our website and join a group. Like, check out a group. If you have questions, you can contact me directly. We would love to help you out in that way. That's just a big next step that we love for you to take, and just pray about it, consider it. And if this isn't the season for you to join a small group because you have a lot going on, we want you to have no pressure there. But we would love to see is just, if you can't, to serve on a team, like serve on a team somewhere. We all I understand there's a lot of schedules and a lot of conflict, a lot of things going on in all of our schedules, right? And if you can help, but your kids join another soccer league, or you join another soccer league yourself, or volleyball league, or a different night out, right? Let's make this a number 1 priority because it changes us from the inside out. It's the most important thing. And so often I think what we want to end with is always some next steps. So man, join a small group, serve on a team. Like, let's get this thing rolling, right? Let's be encouraged and excited to do this, because this is what Jesus and his crew did. They made time for each other. They made time to gain relationship with God and with others. And so one thing that we love saying around here is that relationship responsibility is what keeps people around. We love to see when people have good, solid relationships, like friendships, and they have a responsibility around here, whether serving on a team or something like that, that's usually what keeps them around. It's not just coming and hanging out again on just 1 hour a week. It's more than that. So pray through this. Take time to consider it. There's going to be some links that are dropped in the chat section. Check out our website, and we love to see you either back here next week or in person with us. Either way, let's join a small group. Let's have some fun, and you guys have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. All right.
Thanks again for joining us. My hope is that you were able to take the next step in your journey with God. At Grace River, we believe that we worship in 3 ways: through singing, the hearing of God's word, and by our giving. We believe that worship through giving is important because we want to give back to the God who has given us everything. You can give by visiting our website at graceriver.cc/give or by clicking the link in the chat. Thank you again for joining us today. Make sure you join us again next week online or in person at 9 or 10:30. Have a great week.